Okay, I got it. All right, peace, everyone. Peace, peace, peace. How's everybody doing today? Make sure the sound is good. All right, we good to go. We are good to go. How's everybody doing today? Let's see in the chat. Oops, I might have accidentally. I accidentally messed up with the stream. Okay, we'd like to see you on the Black Magic 368 platform. Okay. I don't know what that is. I think I know what that is. What's cracking? What's happening? Shalom, shalom aleika. Assalamu alaikum. Shukran jazilan. Thank you very much. All right, peace. What's going on? All right, what's cracking? Where likes at? We got the likes at 95. Let's get them at 100 so we can start cracking. All right, today we're going to continue our trek down the rabbit hole and studying. Hold on, I got one thing I got to do. I'll be right back. Almost forgot to get my energy drink, water and everything. You know, this thing right here be on 2 hours talking straight. And my water and my energy drink. This is some good ass water right here, y'all. This Evermore, this is some great water. All right. I won't do no Kevin Samuels, do them Red Bulls. I'll be working out. All right. I think they're a little too soft for me on this channel right here. Hey, yeah, maybe a little bit. All right, well, we're going to continue down our trek down the rabbit hole. Down the rabbit hole. Now, I'm going to tell you today, I'm going to do something a little different. I was doing some research and I was doing research on debtors' prisons, and it's amazing how many scholars understand what's going on as well. And I also came across a very interesting article as to whether or not the United States is actually a corporation written by law school students. So today, to the chagrin of all my detractors and all the anti-sovereigns and beta male manginas out there, I'm going to go over this article with you. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And I appreciate everybody liking me. It's Monday. We back in effect. I I got my glasses back. These are my go-to glasses now, man. These are not my most expensive glasses, but I just love these things, man. I love them. They went all the way around the world with me. I broke them. I had to go get them fixed. I accidentally broke them, had to go get them fixed. That made me so mad. These things right here ain't easy to put lenses in. These lenses, they're not easy to put lenses in. So, because y'all know I'm broke. I'm blind. I'm not broke. I'm blind. I'm blind, not broke. Blind. All right, so we're going to get to it. We got everybody here. Let's get to it. Let's see in the chat. Yusuf, hope you're doing well today. Love the information you give us. The only channel I watch faithfully. Please keep them coming. I truly appreciate the knowledge. You are welcome. It's naturally Tasha. Thank you very much, babe. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. During the abatement process, submitted the notices and memorandum for traffic ticket. Clerk rejected the electronic filing. But I don't think you have permission to electronic file. They stated I would have to refile as a letter, and there are no attorneys. Well, what made you think you can electronic file? I mean, electronic filing is usually for attorneys. I don't know. I haven't filed anything electronically. Well, from what I can remember, electronic filing was for attorneys. Free Rashad Jamal. I don't know who that is. Yeah, Yusuf on Black Magic would be dope. Okay. I appreciate the work you do and the info you provide us. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you, man. Thank you. Thank you. But today, let's get to it. We're going to look at whether or not the United States is a corporation right now. I found a very, very interesting article I want to read to all of you. Real interesting article. Where is it at? Find this article. I just was looking at it. Here it is right here. It is right here. Okay, I gotta do something else though too. I gotta yeah, there we go. Pull this over here like this. And okay. And what else I want? What other window I won't open? Got that one on my Wirecast. Okay. All right. All right. So I want to read this to y'all. I think y'all gonna like this. Think y'all like this? All right. Name of this is the U.S. government a corporation? The corporate origins of modern constitutionalism. This shocked me. I was doing some research, and it's coming out now that these are actually debtors' prisons. And in researching the debtors' prisons, what was interesting, man, this research on debtors' prisons is uncovering so much about the Admiralty, just how pervasive it was in the United States and how it's still here today. And there are law students and law professors writing about it. They don't know everything that we know, but everybody's starting to zero in and starting to be suspect what's going on. Which is why the reason they attack this channel so much, because, I'm over here exposing their ass. But today, we're going to take a deep dive into whether or not the United States is a corporation and the corporate origins of the United States. I actually took time to go into the Federalist papers and the anti-Federalist papers and kind of review those a little bit, and uncovered some very interesting information, and I'm going to share it with you today. And I wanted to start first and foremost by, I'm on this is Just Steve. I think this was Just, what site is this? Is this Just Store, this website? You can go here. It's articles and journals. Is the U.S. government a corporation? The corporate origins of modern constitutionalism. Now, these people don't have anything to do with us. This ain't some sovereign citizen stuff or anything like that for all the people out there watching. you've known that for years we have claimed that the United States is a corporation. Now, we got some very fertile soil that we can also toss onto that just to prove what we're saying, that this is actually a corporation. Now, let's look at some things. I appreciate the donation. Appreciate the donation. 11 Bones, appreciate that. All right, let's look at this real quick. Is the U.S. government a corporation? The corporate origins of modern constitutionalism. All right, let's get into this. This looks like it's going to be good. University of Denver, and David Sipley is the author of it. The U.S. Constitution is best understood not as a social contract, but as a popularly issued corporate charter. Now, this is interesting because when you look up, I'm gonna tell you why this is interesting. I'm gonna tell you why this is interesting. Let me see if I can pull up and show y'all why this is interesting. If we go to SBC University, all right, and we go over to the dashboard and we look up and go in our dictionaries, and we go down here to Black's Law Dictionary. And the person out there trying to hack my site, I'm gonna track you down. I can see you trying to hack the site. I don't know why you keep on trying to hack the site. I got security features on the site. I see you. As soon as I figure out how to get your IP address, I'm gonna get your ass. I'm a tech too. That's why I keep getting you. I keep seeing you. I see. I'm looking at you. I'm looking right at you. I'm looking right at you. I know you changing your IP address. But anyway, let's go right in here. I just want to throw that out there because I know you're watching. So we're going to go to Blacks and we're going to look up this word constitution. So what I want the Blacks. Go back, start real quick. Was this it? Okay, yes. Let's go to 8th. And we're going to go right here to C. All right, so the reason I'm pulling this up, I want to look at this word constitution. You got to look these words up. So we're going to look at this word, Control F, Constitution. I want y'all to pay attention to this. You find out so much stuff just by looking up the words. Constitution is in here 222 times. All right, let's go right. All right, is it right here? All right, let's look at this real quick. This word constitution. Always start with the word. All right, some interesting things about it. Now, a constitution, since one, the fundamental and organic law of a nation or state that establishes the institutions and apparatus of government, defines the scope of government sovereign powers, and guarantees individual rights and civil liberties. All right, that's kind of what everybody kind of thinks about when they think about the Constitution. You know, the first sense of the word is going to give you like an umbrella definition, a general definition. And then the other sense is kind of what we call narrower senses of the word, where they start narrowing it down and giving you something very specific. All right. But sense two, the written instrument embodying the fundamental law together with formal amendments. All right. And then you got some other things right here. And then we can go into down here. I want to get down to the fourth sense of the word, which is parliamentary law. Parliamentary is the legislature, because this is a legislative democracy we're dealing with. The legislature is the one we are concerned with here in the United States of America. They are the ones who created this corporation. This is the jurisdiction we're being subjected to. They're the ones that created the Social Security number. They're the one that passed all the laws. This is who I'm targeting. I'm targeting our government's legislative branch of government. All right. So parliamentary law is the English term, parliament over in England. Because here in the United States, we got everything from England. So in England, they got the House of Lords and the House of Commons, which is very significant because we copied everything, but we can't have titles of nobility in the United States. So they didn't call it the House of Lords and the House of Commons here. They call it the Senate and the House of Representatives. All right, so the House of Representatives, you the commoners, and the senators are the lords, okay, here in the United States. All right, so it goes from the commoners first, their house, to the lords, they sign it, and then they send it to the president. So let's look at parliamentary law. What are the laws that govern legislative bodies? Now, it's interesting that this is since for under the definition of the Constitution. So what does the Constitution have to do? Because remember, people out there saying that we have two constitutions. All right, we have a constitution for of the United States and then a constitution for the United States of America. One is the organic constitution and the other is like a municipal constitution. That's what they call it, a municipal constitution. So right here, parliamentary law, a governing document adopted by an organization for its internal governance and its external dealings. The Constitution may be an organization's most authoritative governing document, but if the organization has also received a charter or adopted articles of incorporation or association, then the Constitution is subordinate to them. If the organization has also adopted bylaws, then the bylaws are subordinate to, and usually more easily amended than, the Constitution. The Constitution and bylaws are sometimes contained in a single document. See governing document under document. Now, I'm just bringing this to your attention because all this is talking about a constitution can be used to create a corporation. So we're not in the realm of la la land when I start talking about a constitution, is for a corporation, is my point. I want you to understand that. So now when we go back to this article and see what they're talking about, now it's going to make sense to you. Is the United States a corporation? This is a very important thing we need to answer. Now, I don't really hear the anti-sovereigns talking about it too much. They kind of stay away from things. You know, they all on my page, they like to comment on other stuff, but they stay away from videos like this. They don't want to touch stuff like this. I don't see none of their comments under videos like this. But let's look at this real quick. Let's take a deep dive and let's see what these people are talking about when they say the United States is a corporation. And I went into a whole bunch of stuff. Is this, here it is right here. All right, is the U.S. government a corporation? So we just got through reading under the definition in the Black's Law 8th edition, under the definition of corporation, under the fourth sense of the word, under parliamentary law, which is dealing with the legislative. It is the laws that govern legislative bodies, okay? We see that constitutions are used to create corporations. All right, so now, is the U.S. government a corporation in the corporate origins of the modern Constitution? David Sipley, the University of Denver. So let's see what David, the beloved one, had to say about this. The U.S. Constitution is best understood not as a social contract, that's what everybody thinks it is, but as a popularly issued corporate charter. The earliest American colonies were literal corporations of the crown, and like all corporations were ruled by limited governments established by their charters. From this, Americans derived their understanding of what a constitution is, the written charter of a sovereign that ordains and limits a government. The key Federalist innovation was to substitute the people for the king and the chartering sovereign. This effectively transferred the governance technology of the corporation to the civil government. including the practice of delegating authority via a written charter, charter amendment, and judicial review. You know, the Article 3 courts are our courts. That's for us to review everything these people are doing. It's a very interesting thing they brought out about Article 3 courts. All right. Federalists use these corporate practices to frame a government that united seeming irreconcilables. Wait a minute, what now? Let me go back. This effectively transferred the governance technology of the corporation to the civil government, including the practice of delegating authority via a written charter, charter amendment, and judicial review. Federalists use these corporate practices to frame a government that united seeming irreconcilables. A government energetic yet limited, Republican yet mixed, popular yet anti-populist, yielding a corporate solution to the problem of arbitrary rule. Leading founders considered this new government a literal chartered corporation of the people. So we can see right here in the University of Denver, someone is writing and talking about the United States, that the Constitution is actually a corporate charter. Now, let's look into this a little bit further, because you're going to see some history, and that's how Europe and everybody was doing it. And you attorneys over there have the audacity, the unmitigated gall, to sit over there and talk about us as if this is crazy sovereign citizen stuff. And it's just amazing how the creator of the balanced universe keeps opening up doors for me and letting me discover more and more. And you know what? Just studying the history unlocks so much information for you, man. It unlocks so much information. I cannot stress the importance of history. All right. So let's look at this. A corporate civilization. In the wake of recovery, I want y'all to concentrate on this. I don't want y'all to concentrate on me. So let me get my picture off of this. I don't want y'all concentrating on me. All right. A corporate civilization. In the wake of the recovery of Justinian's Digest and the Roman law of corporations in the 11th century, Europe was gradually reorganized as a civilization of corporations. A dense web of monasteries, bishoprics, confraternities, universities, towns, communes, and guilds that govern the social life of an energized Europe. And then he gives this reference, Davis, 1905. And let's look down here. Who is this David Sipley? David Sipley is an associate professor of political science, the University of Denver, Stern Hall. And you know, that's what most of you attorneys out there, y'all got to study political science, you know, and getting your law degree. So here he is, a professor. This is a professor saying all this now. So, all right, so we see in Europe was made up of corporations. Making use of a legal form unknown or unavailable elsewhere, these corporations filled and then overflowed the organizational niche occupied by clan networks and other civilizations after Christianity undermined clan ties in the West. Ever since, the corporate form has been the distinctive way in the West of constituting, organizing, and augmenting collective power with profound and enduring consequences for the structure and trajectory of Europe and eventually the world, not only by paving the way for the modern business corporation, but by giving a distinct form to other key European institutions, including the Catholic Church and the European state, which were for long themselves modeled as corporations. Then he gives his reference. Over the past century, the impact of the corporate form of the business firm has garnered the lion's share of scholarly attention. In contrast, the impact of the corporate form on the European and American state is today barely recognized. Yet it has been deep and enduring and largely accounts for what is distinctive about the state forms generated in the West. The Digest, Medieval Europe's central legal text, declares that corporations, in Latin, universitates, I didn't know that's what corporations were in Latin, universitates, exist on the model of the state. So in Europe, corporations exist on the model of the state. Now I want to show y'all something else that's very, very interesting. Let's go back, because I want, we gotta cross-reference what these people are telling us now. So let's go back, let's go to Black's 4th edition. We got to go back, because this is why you got to have all the dictionaries, because you go back in the old dictionary, you can see where they hiding stuff, because they trying to hide it in the new dictionaries. They see everybody waking up, so they give you some old bullshit definition. So let's look up the definition of state. What is a state? So we're going to go in Black's 4th edition. It might be in Bouvier's, I don't know. I can't remember if it's 1856 Bouvier's or Black's 4th. It might be Black's 4th. Let me see right here. Let's see if it's in here. So we're going into this word state. Just want to show y'all something. And I found this to be very interesting as well. All right. State, here it is right here. All right, let's look at this. Oh, I got to bring it down a little bit. All right, so we over here. So it's a noun, a people permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law habits and custom into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty and control over all persons and things within the boundaries, capable of making war and peace, of entering into international relations and with other communities of the globe. Now, once again, that's the overall, the general definition, but let's go down here. Let's see. Right here. I want y'all to write down this right here. This is a citation. So they call, a Black's Law 4th edition a common law dictionary because all the definitions come out of court cases. That's why when you read the definition, you have a court case, give you a citation. So right here, one of the component commonwealths or states of the United States of America. The term is sometimes applied also to governmental agencies authorized by the state, such as municipal corporations. So municipal corporations sometimes can be called a state, but that's where states come from. States come from corporations. But right here in this Black's Law 4th edition, because, Washington, D.C. is a municipal corporation. So right here, and I'm going to show y'all this. I got the case law in case y'all attorneys out there looking, because I know some of y'all are like, what is he talking about? And then I'm just going to show you, I'm going to show you. All right. So right here, we can see very clearly under Black's Law 4th edition, under this word state, that sometimes that word state is making reference also to governmental agencies. It has been my contention that when you get a drug case out there, okay, it is the agency, it's the DEA that's bringing you into an administrative proceeding, and it's actually their court. If you have in the feds, I want people out there who's ever been in the feds before. I want you to think about something. Think about your experience with the feds. All right. If you were in the feds and you got a shot, only people that been in the feds know what I'm talking about. I'm only talking. Usually when I'm on here, the reason I cuss and talk the way that I do, because I'm really talking to hood dudes and hustlers and dudes. I'm really, all the other people, y'all just listening. Y'all just listening in. I'm really not talking to you. I'm talking to people who've been inside the joint or got a case and things like this. These are people I'm talking to, okay? So I want you to stop and think for a second about your experience when you were in the feds and you got a shot. Now, when you get a shot, they take you through an administrative process. You have to get representation. They ask you, would you like your counselor to represent you? Let's say that you're on let's say, I'm not going to take it to like a max. Let's use a camp. Some of y'all probably been in a camp. So you at a camp, you get a shot, you didn't make up your bed right, you got caught with some with some, contraband. You had to whoop somebody's ass, whatever. Something happened, you got a shot, all right? And you only get 3 and they're going to ship your ass, all right, back to a medium, a low, or something like that. So they bring you in and ask, would you like to have your counselor represent you? You say, okay. And then the camp administrator or the warden or somebody like that, y'all go into a meeting. They talk about what you did. They always find your ass guilty. Just like they do at the U.S. District Court. It's the same thing. You're going through administrative law. As above, so below. You got the macrocosm and the microcosm. Everything they do on the big level, they do on the small level. It's the same thing. You just don't see it. You're going to have to start opening your eyes and see. When you go and you get a charge at a U.S. District Court, you're going into an administrative hearing. The court belongs to whatever agency arrested you. So we can see when it says United States, it's actually the agency that arrested you. It's their court. And you can see right here that states are called corporations. States are corporations, municipal corporations. Does everybody see that? Let me pause real quick. Am I losing anyone? Am I losing anyone? Somebody said they take all your stuff, no counselors. All right. I just want, whoever been in the feds, you know what I'm talking about. I am talking to you. You got a shot and you went through that. You had to go through an administrative hearing. You had to go before a counselor, and then they found you guilty or not. And then they gave you some type of punishment, some time in the hole, or you had to do some sort of hours where you had to do labor on the compound or something like that after work or something. Same thing. Okay. It's the exact same thing. All right. So I want you to pay attention to that a municipality is considered a state. Let me read it again. One of the component commonwealths or states of the United States of America. The term is sometimes applied also to governmental agencies authorized by the state, such as municipal corporations. All right. So we got that out the way. So let's go back to our article. Okay. So the Digest, Medieval Europe's central legal text, declares that corporations exist on the model of the state. Europeans, short on juridical models for their nascent states, turn this around and, to a surprising degree, model their states on the corporation. Wherein one group of individuals, the shareholders, elect a board that exercises authority over another group of individuals, the employees. Medieval corporations were typically member corporations, universities, towns, guilds, and cathedral chapters whose members elected a rector or mayor or guild master or bishop to exercise government over themselves. And let me put this link in here. I think you got to sign up, but there's a link to the article I'm reading. Now, Thomas Hobbes, y'all might not know who he is. He's an individual. He wrote a book called The Leviathan. He was kind of like a political scientist at the time. I haven't gotten a chance really to go through it. My grandmother used to always have that book on her bookshelf. So she used to have Atlas Shrugged on her bookshelf. I've read that, but I got to read The Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. This guy, I got looking at this guy because he's some kind of, you had agents in history too. And you got to go back and look and see, they've been trying to take over the world for a very long time, the Illuminati and a lot of these agents that work for them. Okay. So right here, universities, Towns, guilds, and cathedral chapters whose members elected a rector or mayor or guild master or bishop to exercise government over themselves, although sometimes over others as well. Operating in Hobbes-tinted words, as many lesser commonwealths in the bowels of a greater like worms in the entrails of a natural man. They carried into the bosom of Europe's monarchies principles and practices of republicanism and mixed constitutionalism, including popular sovereignty, equal membership, simple majoritarian election, political representation, political consent, written constitutions, and the notion of the ruler contract, the heart of social contract theory. It was borrowing from these corporate principles and practices that ultimately produced in the Anglo-American line of development, especially the liberal democratic state, a state with juridical personhood, a representative assembly. Okay, there's Runciman, he's giving all his references, an elected executive, and liberal constitutionalism with a written constitution and a judicial review. The focus of the present article is on the corporate genesis of the last of these modern American-style constitutionalism with a popular authorized written constitution enforced through judicial review. All right, so I'm not going to read this whole article. You can read it at your, if you want. This will be on. I'm trying to see if I can download it. They don't want this article downloaded. I'm actually taking it, and I was gonna make a video out of it and read the whole thing and make a video out. I was in the middle of doing that. It takes a little time to make these videos because I gotta read, it's only 18 pages, but I wanted to read the old article. See, the corporate origins of the modern written constitution, republicanizing the corporate charter. These guys, they know, and let me tell you something, anyone who does a lot of research into these topics is very obvious. Like, where is this location of the debtor? We start getting into, was it UCC 9-307, I think? Location of the debtor. And you can see right down here. All right, so we can see United States, location of the United States. The United States is located in the District of Columbia. The United States is located in the district. Why would they put that there? Why would they put that there? Why would they put that there like that? The United States is located in, because I've been saying this is not the United States of America. This is a proper noun. This is the name of a corporation. This is not an adjective. It's not describing something. It's not saying the United States of America, how all the states, Texas, California, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, New York, Illinois, Pennsylvania. It's not talking about how all of them came together and united. All the states came together and united. This is talking about something like Federal Express. The United States is in Washington, D.C. D.C. ain't even a state. It's not listed under the 50 states. D.C. is just like, you know what, let me tell you something. I just went to see the Vatican, right? Now, when you go in the Vatican, they straight up tell you the Vatican is its own country. But you don't have to have a passport. They got a wall all the way around it. I walked all the way around the wall while I was there. I went from the entrance of the Vatican around the wall all the way back to the other side. So I can sit here and tell all of you that I've walked all the way around the country before in my life. But I walked around the Vatican. All right, the Vatican is its own country. They tell you that. When you walk in there, you're in another country. That's like what D.C. is. D.C. is kind of like its own country. And you can find some very interesting citations of authority that kind of detail how some of the residents there, what rights they have and what rights they don't have. It's very interesting. And I'm also want y'all to look into the corporate, it's the, what are they called? The commercial courts. Let's pause for a second. Let me see if I can look at commercial courts. The history, United States District Court, Southern District. Let's see. I want to hear wait a minute, let me go over the history. Wait a minute, let me do history. They try to hide this information too. All right, development of business courts, United States Commercial Court. All right. All right, so let's look at this real quick. All right, this is how you got to do your research. You got to put everything together like a puzzle. And when you go back in history, you see how they've been hiding things. The commercial courts or the commerce courts merged with the U.S. District Court. And it used to be called the District Court of the United States. And then they changed it to U.S. District of the United States. So you have the District Court of the United States, and then you have the U.S. District Court. You got everything that they own, they start with U.S. District Court. It used to be the United States Post Office. Now it's the United States Postal Service. They provide you a service. United States person. United States territory. United States citizen, United States district, it's all they stuff, okay? Understand? So we have to understand what this United States is, because they're going to try to play you like United States just means United States of America. Look at these buffoons over there on that high frequency radio. And then it's just the audacity that they have. And that's why if you're an attorney looking at this, I can't really consider you intelligent. I just can't. Because anyone who's done a cursory investigation into these topics, you're going to reach the same conclusion that I have. Or you're either a liar or something like that. Or you don't possess the requisite intelligence in order to understand what I'm talking about. But you can see it clear as day when you start doing the research. I'm looking at the history of the Constitution. It's corporate. They telling United States, where's the one that say United States is a corporation? Where is that at? That's in the 28 USC. What is that? 28 USC 3215. United States means a federal corporation. You see that under these definitions? Okay, but I'm just supposed to ignore all of this. You know, I'm looking right in y'all code sections, all y'all case laws for corporations. Almost everything I read is about a corp. 90% of the stuff you read in the United States Code, all the citations having to deal with corporations, corporate matters. So United States means a federal court, where actually it's 100% of it. All of it is corporate. Y'all trying to make the other part seem like it's not. And it's also when I started studying the debtors' prisons, how these professors and everything started to tell you that y'all locking up people. You ain't supposed to be locking a person up for a debt, but you are, and it's civil in nature. And the only civil jurisdiction that is criminal is admiralty. But y'all gonna keep telling us it's not admiralty. But it's colorable admiralty is what we're saying. It's not real admiralty. It's colorable. It's in the nature of admiralty. All right, that's what y'all keep missing, what we keep saying. So right here, I'm reading the 28 United States Code. What was that? 300215. United States means a federal corporation. Now we just went back and looked and saw that a state can be referred to as a corporation. We can see the United States is located in Washington, D.C. Now we're getting some historical information showing us that we looked in Black's Law under Constitution and found that under parliamentary law, the constitutions are used to form corporations. What else the fuck I gotta show you? can only come to the conclusion that you stupid. I don't know what else to say. I keep looking at this, and this is why I don't come up off of it. This is why when y'all make them videos about me and I don't come up off of it, I don't be giving a fuck about that shit, man. I don't even look at y'all videos most of the time. Y'all make a video about me. Because I know you just driving traffic to me. Because as soon as they get over here, I'm going to convert their ass. I'm going to convert them. Because you know why? Because the truth is like honey. When a person is telling the truth, only person that that don't want to accept the truth is a damn devil. So right here, now let's look at something else too. Let's look at the word individual. Because you know, the IRS, they call your individual tax return, right? So we got individual, here are the 7 major entities that the IRS recognizes. They recognize, I want y'all to write this down. They recognize an individual. They recognize an association. They recognize a partnership. They recognize a company. They recognize a corporation. They recognize an estate. And they recognize a trust. Now, we can see very clearly that 6 of those just right on their face is a corporation. But for some reason, they make you believe that individual is talking about it like a real living soul or something like that. Well, is it? When you start to investigate in the United States Code, that was one of the hardest words to find any information on was the word individual. Go and do it yourself and see if you can find the IRS explain it to you what exactly it is. However, me being who I am, I went to the dictionary first, because I always go to the dictionary first. And once you start getting in these dictionaries, I'm going to tell you something, man. These dictionaries will take you on a trip. I'm telling you, if you're new to this, just spend your first 6 weeks looking in the dictionary. I'm telling anybody, if you got time and all you want to learn is buy your Black's Law Dictionary, smoke you a blunt, take your motherfucking edible. I don't give a damn what you do. Sit back somewhere quiet and just look at the words. And I guarantee you it's going to be interesting. And I guarantee you're going to start seeing how all the words connect. It's going to start taking you through a trip through feudalism. It's going to start taking you a trip through the courts and how things have changed. It's going to start taking you through trust and legal fictions. It's going to take you on a trip. And you're going to see how things interconnect just by spending time reading words. Black's Law Dictionary, interesting as a motherfucker. I'm reading, they call the debtor's prisons hell. I was reading an article where it says that debtor's prisons in the United States were atrocious. They were horrendous. They also had boats called hulks, and they call them hell. So you get in a Black's Law Dictionary, once again, and let me go to the 8th edition, and we're going to look up the word hell. Yeah, the word hell is in a Black's Law Dictionary, y'all. The word hell is in a Black's Law Dictionary. So I looked it up. I just ran across stuff like this. So I'm looking up hell. Is it in here? Or maybe, it might be in the old one. Yeah, he took it out. Well, okay, you see it's not in here. They got hell or high water. Let's go back to the 4th. It might be in the 4th. Or it might be in Bouvier's. I don't know. Hold on. I'm gonna find it though. It's either in this one or it's in Bouvier's. Hell. The name formerly given to a place under the exchequer chamber where the king's debtors were confined. Debtor's prison. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That's the prayer in the Lord's Prayer. When I'm coming to understand, especially when you study history, everything is about creditors and debtors, man. Listen, when you get into the history of the United States, I'm gonna tell you how they could not stand a person who would skip out on money that they had to be paid. That's why even to this day, debtors' prisons are only outlawed like in about 41 states. All the states ain't outlawed debtors' prisons, but they're making a comeback in all the states. That's why they're arresting you for not paying child support. They're not supposed to put you in prison for that, but I was reading an attorney general opinion where it says they can put you in jail though for debts for what's called penal actions. So what is a penal action? Let's look at a penal action real quick. So I'm looking at this, he tell me, okay, well, you can put you in jail for penal action. You know, this is in Georgia, I found this. So I'm gonna say, okay, well, let me go and look up penal action. Let's get a ninth real quick. And it's under the word action. So we go to action. I'm acting, boy, that word here a lot. Let me see if I just roll to it. Action. Okay. Where is that? Action. All right, so right here, action is right here. All right, so we got penal action. This is what we're looking for right here. All right, see these right, penal action. Now I want y'all to listen very closely. What is a penal action? I'm like, well, okay, what the hell is a penal action? And when you read Byron Beers, What is Acceptance for Value, he's going to constantly keep talking about these are penal actions. And a lot of people who are very, very astute, they understand that it's a penal action because you'll have an attorney say, well, when we go in there, we say, is this civil or criminal? They'll say that it's criminal. It's not civil. Even though I've had attorneys admit to me privately that they're actually civil in nature. We know that in the federal, what is it in the federal, there's one form of action, rules of civil procedure, United States Code, one form of action. What is it? Fed civil procedure, right here, rule 2, where it says one form of action, there's one form of action, the civil action. Now, I don't know what that means, but once again, that's curious, that's right there. One form of action, the civil action. So now I go over to this penal action. It says a criminal prosecution. Well, we all know what a criminal prosecution is, but look at what sentence 2 starts to narrow it down for you. It says a civil proceeding in which either the state or a common informer, we need to know what a common informer is. It's like one of y'all can file an action against someone. But right here, we're talking about the state. We all know that a state can be a municipality. We know that states are corporations. So it's a civil proceeding in which the state or a common informer sues to recover a penalty from a defendant who has violated a statute. Well, we know that when you read these statutes, they give you time and they also give you what? Oh, you got to pay a fine or restitution. That's civil. So look at what the expert commentary says. He says, although civil in nature, a penal action resembles a criminal proceeding because the result of a successful action is a monetary penalty intended like a fine to punish the defendant. So right here, somebody getting punishment with money, this is pecuniary in nature. Pecuniary, and for all you who don't have good vocabularies. Pecuniary, I spell it right. Pecuniary, relating to consisting of money. All right, so we see right now that it's civil. And so when I come into the courtroom, let me turn the camera on me. Let me turn the camera on me real quick. me turn the camera on me real quick. Y'all need to see when I say this right here. Okay. When I come into the courtroom and I ask the judge, I say, Your Honor, it is my understanding that pursuant to the Sixth Amendment for the Constitution of the United States of America, I have a protected right to know the nature and cause of this action. Is this not correct, sir? Well, yes. Okay, well, thank you. Well, I have another question. Is this a civil or criminal action? Well, it's a criminal action. You got caught with 50 keys. You had some choppers in the trunk and a body in the trunk too. It's criminal. Okay, thank you. Let the action that is being, let the record show that the action being brought against the defendant is a criminal action. Now let's have another question. The Constitution for the United States of America only grants this court two criminal jurisdictions. One is under the common law, and the other constitutes a condition of contract under criminal aspects of a colorable admiralty jurisdiction. A condition of contract. You contracted me some kind of way with some kind of minimum contact, brought me in this private jurisdiction in Washington, D.C., and now you're saying I committed a crime that is actually civil in nature, even though you're going to tell me there's a difference between criminal and civil, yet I'm looking right here in your law book and it's telling me that there are civil actions that are criminal. Now let's expand on it a little bit and let's look and see what the expert commentary says on this. Let me step back off the screen. At one time, it was a frequent practice when it was desired to repress some type of conduct thought to be harmful, to do so by the machinery of the civil rather than of the criminal. Now, that jives right with when I'm reading the clerk's praxis, because that's the civil jurisdiction of admiralty, and in there they were punishing crimes through the civil. That's where debtors' prisons came from. Oh, you did X, Y, and Z, you hurt someone? Well, that's going to be 2 gold pieces. Oh, you can't pay? Your ass get put in jail. They put everybody in jail. They associated penalties with money. And if you couldn't pay, your ass was out of gas. And you didn't want to go into the debtors' prisons. They put you in jail for owing. When you look at the prisons here in the United States of America, in the history, almost a third in almost every state of people who were locked up, it was for debt. And they would lock you up for as little as $1. The majority of people, 50% of the people who was locked up in debtors' prisons was locked up for owing like $5. Y'all better study the history of this country. And then you need to ask yourself, how can somebody it's a dude stayed in prison 22 years. He's one of them. A lot of the Supreme Court, Wilson got locked up. Justice Wilson, one of the original Supreme Court justices. Robert Morris, who brought you the cigarettes and tobacco and everything, Morris Company, he got locked up, died in prison, I think, for debts. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better stop playing with me and stop acting. This is about creditors and debtors. It's about creditors and debtors. Let's read this again. It says, at one time, it was a frequent practice when it was desired to repress some type of conduct thought to be harmful, to do so by the machinery of the civil rather than of the criminal law. This means so chosen was called a penal action, as being brought for the recovery of a penalty, and it might be brought according to the wording of the particular statute creating the penal action, either by the Attorney General on behalf of the state. Well, we already know the Attorney General, he brings the action on the state and federal level. On behalf of the state, we know the state, once again, can be a corporation or municipality, or by a common informer on his own account. A common informer was anyone who should first sue the offender for the penalty. Penal actions are still possible in a few cases, and their existence renders invalid several suggested distinctions between civil wrongs and crimes. So right there, the professor, Mr. Attorney, I do know how to read. I do know how to read. And I'm sure we have some college educated students who are out there reading this along with me. And you can see right here where this man just said, and that's a conjunction, their existence renders invalid several suggested distinctions between civil wrongs and crimes. So when we come to you and I ask you, is it civil or criminal? And you start trying to play me like I'm crazy, we can see right here in the Black's Law Dictionary that we have something called a penal action, because I'm putting all my people on the trail, because now everybody's going to run and start researching penal actions. You should do it in a law library, and you're going to find some incredible things. Let me show y'all something else. Here in Georgia, we connecting the dots. Now, this is available to everyone. If you go to SBC University, right here on my this all y'all. You don't have to be a member to access this. This is for the public to come and download and kick somebody in their ass. All right, I'm leaving it right here for you. You don't even have to join my site to get access to this. Just free. Just come get it. This is just my research. What I do is I just post stuff I find on the internet. I just post it right here. Some things I think that are really important. All right. So when we get, there's clerk's praxis right here, which when we read this, I took 6 weeks out to study this, and it's called the what? It's called the civil practice of it. Practice and jurisdiction of the Court of Admiralty in 3 parts. You get down here, what does it say? It says, part 1, historical essay of the civil jurisdiction of the Admiralty. So we know that Admiralty is civil in nature. I just wanted to quickly point that out to you. But I wanted to also show you here in Georgia something very, very interesting. I was in the law library here in Georgia, and I was kind of like, kind of like studying and looking for some stuff. And I came across this book right here. I was just in it, and this is Title 17, Criminal Procedure. I was studying criminal procedure here in Georgia. So I turned on this thing, and I'm going through it. I'm perusing through it, I'm just looking at stuff. And I came across something real interesting. It's called OCGA 1711-1. Now, OCGA means the Official Code of Georgia Annotated. Like you have a United States Code annotated. You have a United States Code and United States Code annotated. Go in the law library. But anyway, so y'all tell me, this is criminal now. This is criminal. Now we're doing an assessment of the cost in a criminal case, an assessment. Now I want y'all to understand that this is based off of a principle. Just because it's in Georgia, don't mean they're not doing it in your state as well. It does not mean that they're not doing it in your state as well. As a matter of fact, what's really interesting about reading all the different state codes is some states are more transparent about certain things than others. Georgia just happens to be a very transparent state, because this was originally a penal colony for criminals. So let's look at this. It said the cost, this is COSTS, that is the actual word, of a prosecution, except the fees of his own witness, shall not be demanded of a defendant until after trial and conviction. So what are these fees? The cost of the prosecution. What do what do you mean the cost? How much is this costing? Your Honor, I request that the Honorable Judge direct the prosecutor to provide the assessment of the charges along with a certified audit trail of all transactions, including voucher, as well as all disbursement documents and receipts. You have to, they presume you ain't interested in that because you ain't asked. So, how much is this costing? It says the cost of a prosecution, except the fees of his own witness, shall not be demanded of a defendant until after trial and conviction. So you got to be convicted. Could this be why they got a 98, 99% conviction rate on the federal and state level? Motherfucking. Let me see. Judgment may, we got to look at this word may. That's the throw off word right there. That's one of those words where they say, if you're not an attorney and you're trying to represent yourself, you're a fool. Because you're going to read that word and you're going to associate it with it, the meaning that you use in everyday parlance, and it does not mean that. So, and the judge is going to explain it to you too. So judgment may be entered against the defendant for all costs accruing in the committed in trial courts and by any officer pending the prosecution. The judgment shall be a lien from the date of his arrest. So they put a lien on you, man. This is why you're doing a UCC1, fool. Because they operating in commerce and you're trying to beat them to the punch. The commercial registry is there to establish first in line, first in time, because everything works off liens. Why is everything working off liens? Because liens are what are used to create money. Because in our system today, debt is money, and you create debt through liens. Wait a minute. I'm gonna pause here and let that marinate. Do y'all understand what I just said? Do you understand what I just said? Do you understand what I just said? Money is created through debt, through the creation of debt. The creation of debt happens through the creation of liens. So right here, the court is a bank. It's creating money because it's creating what? A lien. That's why they say the court is a bank. Okay, so when they put a lien on you, let's look at what the clerk does. It said the judgment shall be a lien from the date of his arrest on all the property of the defendant. Okay, is that why we putting in the collateral description of our UCC1 all our property? Am I trying to protect? Is that why you don't want me to file a UCC1 in your state? Because I'm putting a lien against my property before you get a chance to. I'm noticing you of that fact, because that is the thing too. You just can't file the UCC1. It tells you in there, you got to also file the one and send the notice to the people. Filing the one doesn't fulfill all the obligations under UCC 1-202. You got to send them a copy of it. That's why when we do our package, we send them to put a copy of the UCC1 and send it to Washington, D.C. But you should also send it to your local court and all that. You got to put these people on notice that I have a already perfected interest in my property. We're doing business right now. This is all business. They'll try to give you the impression and act like you can't put a lien against your property, when equality under the law is mandatory. Motherfucker, if you can put a lien against my property, I can too. Plus, you just a corporation. We got some more information on that. Somebody did some research on these courts and found out that they're all corporations. They're corporate entities for profit. Did a Freedom of Information Act on them and got their EIN number. All right, so let's read some citations of authority. This down here is explaining how when a situation came up, how the courts ruled and construed this statute. That's why you want to read the case law, because the judges are the interpreters of the law, not you, motherfucker. You running around reading a statute, applying your meaning to what it means to it. The legislature writes the law, the executive enforces the law, and the judiciary interprets the law. What the fuck you don't understand? You know who I'm talking to. All right, so down here, the interpreters of this up here, they got some interesting things. Look at this right here. Judge has no discretion in the matter of taxing the cost. While the word may ordinarily denotes permission and not command, the use of that word in the second sentence of this section cannot be construed to mean that the trial judge is vested with discretion in the matter of taxing. That's another word you need to look up, tax, because it don't mean what you think it means. But we're going to look it up next. Of taxing the cost against the convicted defendant. Now, he telling you right here, he clearing up any confusion. This word may don't mean what you think it means. See why it's necessary to go to the law library? Because on the internet, you don't get none of this. So when I pull the book off the shelf and read it, while the word may ordinarily denotes permission and not command, the use of that word in the second sentence of this section cannot be construed to mean that the trial judge is vested with discretion in the matter of taxing costs. May means must. You can look it up in a Black's Law Dictionary. It means you must do something. So when they say, well, may I, Your Honor? No, you must do it. There's no provision of law for the payment of the fees of the officer of the court when the judge in the judge's discretion fails to tax the costs against the convicted defendant. And it cannot be assumed that it was never intended that the compensation of these officers should rest in the discretion of the judge. Pound versus Faulkner. Now, they talk about the payment of these officers, but we don't know all the costs associated with it. They said all cost. That's just their fees. What are the other costs? So they have to tax costs. So everybody gets arrested. There's a cost taxed against them. So I'm going to ask you this, because some attorneys asked me this question. Well, what about homeless people? I said, you know what? I said the same thing. What if a homeless person don't got no property? Well, they don't have to, because that homeless person got a damn social security number. And all they got to do is access that. And they can put a lien against that. Because that social security number has what? All the property. And now they got evidence of a debt. They got a judgment. Now they can go form a bond, a negotiable instrument, and say, look, this person owes the state X, Y, and Z amounts of money. Let me take it to the market and see if I can trade it, discount it, or do something like that. Because we got somebody who's a guarantor on the other end who's going to have to perform on it. And we're going to get that money, and they going to pay their debt to society. They gonna pay their debt to society. Oh man! If y'all follow me, hold on. Let me see. Are y'all? Is everybody following me? Is everybody following me so far? Okay, because all I'm doing today, because when we go through cracking the code, everything about it is corporate. We talking about they corporate. They gonna say, well, you know, they believe it's a corporation. Well, if you're watching this, now you understand why we believe it's a corporation. History tells us it's a corporation. The wording in your indictment. Let's look at something real quick. Let's look at an indictment, federal indictment. Let me see if I just pull up one. I'm just going to see if I can pull up one. Let me see if I just pull up one. No, let me go to, let me pull up somebody. Let's pull up, let me run Tekashi 6ix9ine. I like reading his indictment. .pdf. Let me see if I can pull up the PDF of it. All right, so here it is right here. All right, so this is a federal indictment. Okay, let's see, am I crazy? All right, let's see if I'm crazy again. So we see everything is in all caps, and then they put their private names in lower uppercase. These are private names right here. These ain't names in the public. Like my private name, what my family used to call me is Pooh. As far as they're concerned, that's my name, Pooh. All right, so you can see right here, Jamel Jones, a.k.a. Mel Murder, Kefano Jordan, a.k.a. Shotty, Genzel Butler, a.k.a. Ish, Daniel Hernandez, a.k.a. Tekashi 6ix9ine. All right, so we got these cats. Let's see what's happening. The Enterprise. Oh, my God. Wait a minute. The Enterprise. I got to get on the screen for this because it's going to be funny. I want y'all to laugh with me. So the very first one, this is not corporate. According to them, this is not corporate. It is not civil. According to them, everybody's crazy over here. This is what we believe. I want to remind y'all, we believe, we crazy. We not very intelligent, according to them. All right? So the first word is the enterprise. Corporate phrase, right? Enterprise. At all times relevant to this indictment, Jamel Jones, okay, and they say in all caps don't mean nothing. This is what they want you to believe. Now you're going to start to get the sense that somebody think you stupid after a while. After a while, you're like, this motherfucker think I'm stupid. But this capital letter don't mean nothing according to them, even though it's on your social security card, your driver's license, your bank statements. Could that be their way to signify that it's some sort of property of the United States because that social security number belongs to the United States? It tell you right on the back of it that when they want it back, you got to give it to them. It's just the same thing they do with my cost. I got a membership card to one of them places like Sam's Club, Costco. I got a Costco membership. So I got a corporate membership to Costco. Now, have you ever tried to go into Costco and try to sneak by them folks without showing them your card? I tried it a couple of times, got to have my card with me, and I didn't feel like going over to customer service and get another one, so I tried to sneak by, like, sir. Do you have your membership card? No, I don't have it. You'll have to go over there to customer service. They want your membership, all right? You can't fuck around with nothing in here without having your membership card. You can't get nothing from the federal government without having your membership card. What's the difference? The macrocosm, the microcosm. As above, so below. As below, so above. That's a universal principle. They all corporate. They all doing the same thing. United States Corporation, they got a membership card. They got a club card, you know? You want to shop in our club? You want to get some you want some member benefits? Or membership has its privileges? Let's look at it again. At all times relevant to this indictment, Jamel Jones, a.k.a. Mail Murder, Cafano Jordan, a.k.a. Shotty, Denzel Butler, a.k.a. Ish, Daniel Hernandez, Tekashi 6ix9ine, and Fahim Walter, Crippy, the defendants, and others known and unknown, were members and associates of the Nine Trey Gangster Bloods, Nine Trey of the Enterprise. So that's the name of his company, Nine Trey. They had a name of their company. They call it Nine Trey. It just wasn't formally registered with the Secretary of State. It's a private, just like we can form a private corporation to an unincorporated business trust. So they have a right to presume that it's some sort of company. A private company. And they were a trust. Because a trust is a trust whether it's written or not. It's an implied trust between them. So they doing business with it too. So let's look at it. Nine Trey of the Enterprise, a criminal organization. We can look at this word organization. We look at the word entity after we look up the word individual. We're going to find out that it's an entity, and an entity we're going to find out is an organization. So, a criminal organization whose members and associates, is this an association? Remember, an individual association partner? Association. Associates engage, among other activities, acts involving murder, robbery, and narcotics trafficking. Trafficking, we all know, is a commercial term. Nine Trey operated in and around Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and New York. Nine Trey included its leadership, its membership. Corporations have a leadership and a membership. And its associates constituted an enterprise defined by Title 18 United States Code Section 1961-4. That is a group of individuals associated in fact, although not a legal entity. Do we need to pause and let's pause real quick? Because this is study. Y'all understand it when y'all come to these are classes. This ain't no, we rush through stuff. I'm showing y'all how I do research. I research this stuff. All right, so we're going to pause and we got to get some definitions again because we got to stay in the law book. You can't understand this foreign language. The most deadly thing you can do is assume you know the meaning of a word. You should be to the point. Every time you read something, your ass get nervous. I'm not really sure what that word is. Let me look it up. I know it's the word the, but let me see if I can just find it in Black's Law Dictionary. Let me make sure. You can be like that. And then eventually you won't have to do that anymore because you'll eventually have accumulated an abundance of words you don't have to look up anymore. So let's start with the 8th edition. Let's look up this word individual first. Let me see if we can find this word individual. Individual. Let's look at it real quick. So you can find this word individual. All right. It's in there 57 times. Isn't it? All right. Individual. So there it is. What is an individual? Existing as an indivisible entity. That's the first sense of the word. Of or relating to a single person or a thing. We know both of these ain't a living person, a person or a thing. We need to know what the definition of person is. And we do need to know definition of thing. That is a legal term as well. Person or thing. So, but let's go back over here. The first sense, entity. It's an indivisible entity. Well, what is an entity? Let's look and see what an entity is. What is an entity? What is an entity? What is an entity? Let's look at this real quick. What is an entity? Entity. This word up, man. See, these people, they try and trick somebody. This is a trick. Okay. Entity. There it is right there. All right, let's look at this real quick. What is an entity? An organization, such as a business or a governmental unit that has a legal identity apart from its members. We're going to keep going. Okay. Am I saying, I want to go to the chat real quick. Am I reading this wrong? Am I reading something wrong? Am I reading something wrong? A lot of people watching me right now. I know a lot of y'all college educated. Am I reading something wrong? Am I reading this the wrong way? Okay, so everything that I've been talking about so far is corporate, right? It's leaning toward it's a corporation, the history, everything, it's corporation, right? So right here, they tell you file your individual tax return. All right. Well, we know that in the public, this is what we say, that corporations can only interface with other corporations. So that's why we're saying that all caps name has to be some sort of corporate entity, some sort of corporation, because the fiction and the real cannot mix. Public and private cannot mix. We can find, now I'm going to show you also the United States only deals with corporations. All right. So it's some sort of corporate entity, but you're saying that we're crazy, even though you deal with legal fiction entities all the time, but somehow, some kind of way, it's crazy for us when we ask you, is that all caps name a legal fiction entity, and ens legis, a nom de gore, a straw man? We crazy. We're crazy. Let's throw some more. Let's stop real quick and let's throw some more gasoline on. Let's throw some more gasoline on top of it. Let's go with more gasoline. Let's go to all right, 27 CFR 7211. Oh, that's not 72.1. 7211. All right, so right here, Cornell law, we got what? Commercial crimes. Any of the following types of crimes, federal or state. Offenses against the revenue laws. Well, that's the most important one. They listed first because it's all a tax. Everything is a tax. I'm gonna have to explain that to you. Burglary. counterfeiting, forgery, kidnapping, larceny, robbery, illegal sale or possession of deadly weapons, prostitution, including soliciting, procuring, pandering, white slaving, keeping house of ill fame and like offenses, extortion, swindling and confidence games, and attempting to commit, conspiring to commit, or compounding any of the foregoing crimes. Addiction, you compound it with something else. Addiction to narcotic drugs and use of marijuana will be treated as if such were a commercial crime. You know, marijuana is still not federally legal. It's only legal on the state level, but it's still illegal federally. So right here, we got something called a commercial crime. If you go and study the history of the commercial courts, you see it only lasted 4 years, but it got merged with the U.S. District Court. Let's read this again. The enterprise constituted an ongoing organization whose members functioned as a continuing unit for a purpose of achieving the objectives of the enterprise. At all times relevant to this indictment, the enterprise was engaged in and activities affected interstate and foreign commerce. So there's their jurisdictional element. It's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, the Commerce Clause. So right there, they put that in there to tell you what gave them jurisdiction. You're affecting interstate commerce. So we got all this evidence pointing to this being some sort of commercial. Look at this. The defendants participated in the operation and management of the enterprise and participated in unlawful and other activity in furtherance of the conduct of the enterprise's affairs. Members and associates of non-trade included in a series of violent disputes with rivals of non-trade. And let me get down here where start getting into it. Yeah, see right here, encroached on the enterprise's narcotics business to otherwise promote the standing and reputation of non-trade amongst rival gangs. I'm just going to tell you like this. As you read this, now that you know what to look at, just pay attention to how it reads. It's all business. We're talking about some sort of business crime. They out using Federal Reserve notes to sell drugs with, all right? Without their permission. You don't have the permission to use Federal Reserve notes to engage in that business activity. Plus, you ain't paying taxes on it. We ain't sanctioned it. Everything we sanction, you pay taxes on. That's the biggest thing that they be pissing them off. I'm gonna tell you, like an attorney told me. He told me straight up. This is a Jewish attorney too, very very well known in Atlanta. And he told me straight up. He said, "I said, man, can I? Is where I can get out of this?" He's like, I was talking about like trying to pay to get out of it. And he was like, he said, "Nah, Joe, you can't pay these people to get out." He said, "But I'm going to give you some advice. Pay your taxes." Now, if you notice, all of the damn Italian mafias, they all got businesses and they pay taxes. They all got business. We the only ones fucking around trying to hustle and not have a business. You don't want to do it. Then you're trying to hustle without a business front. What else? I don't know what. I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going because I can keep on going and keep showing you. The rabbit hole get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It's showing it's some sort of commercial thing. It's showing that it's some civil in nature. It's showing that it's pecuniary in some kind of way. That the court is some kind of bank. The court is, let's look at that real quick. Let's look at that. I think that might be in Bouvier's. I think that is in Bouvier's. Let's look at that real quick. Or let's see if it's in here. Let's look up the word bank. I can't remember which law book is in. We put bank is in there. Banking this motherfucker 272 times. Then there are 272 times the word bank. I had a banker tell me, he said, instead of getting a Black's Law Dictionary, he said I should get a dictionary on banking. He told me that a long time ago. He said, if you really want to know what they really talking about, get you a dictionary on banking. Bank. Look at all this damn definitions for bank. A bench or seat, the bench of justice, the bench or tribunal occupied by judges, the seat of judgment, a court, the full bench or full court, the assembly of all the judges of a court. So, once again, if we are foolish enough to think that these words have the same meaning as they do in everyday parlance, this is a bank. Now, we need to go into the United States Code and look at what a financial institution is. When you start looking up these words, you're going to start to see that they use commercial terms. They flip-flop them. They use the same term to have two different meanings. It's just like what the Native Americans were saying. They say pale face speak with forked tongue. He said, pale face speak with forked tongue. It's like he's a snake, but everything he say got a double meaning. Everything has two meanings. This is why you have to answer a question with a question. What are you talking about? You don't know what the fuck they're talking about when they're talking to you. Are y'all following along? Am I losing someone? Am I losing someone? I just want to know, am I losing someone? Am I losing someone, I don't want to lose nobody. I just want y'all to follow along and understand where I'm taking you. I'm just showing you all of this, Now, let's look at the word tax yet. Now, let's go next. Let's look at the word tax. We're going to go back to that Georgia code, but we got a few more things to look at. Let's look and see what a tax is. Let's see, can tax show us, kind of reveal some things to us as well. Let's look at this word tax. Tax. Do tax mean what you think it means? Let's see. Tax. This motherfucker here 929 times in this whole section of the dictionary. That's how many times that word appeared, right? 929 times. All right, so here it is right here, tax. This is interesting right here. Let's read this. I'm telling you, when you go through the dictionary, it's really, really interesting. Tax. A monetary charge imposed by the government on persons, entities, transactions, or property to yield public revenue. See how when you read all the definitions now, how you just look at that differently? Persons, entities, transactions, property, public. What the fuck they got to do with me? That's what you're going to come to the conclusion. It's like, wait a minute, man, y'all. So let's look at it, though. Let's look. Most broadly, the term embraces all governmental impositions on the person, property, privileges, occupations, and enjoyment of the people, and includes duties, imposts, and excises. Although a tax is often thought of being pecuniary in nature, it is not necessarily payable in money. Wait a minute, what did that mean? Let me, because a lot of the laymen, they don't understand this is the most important damn sentence out of everything. Everything was important, but this was. First of all, you only taxed on benefits and privileges. So if you're out there crying about a tax, understand you're not taxed on your rights. Same thing with COVID. They say you got to wear a mask. I can't tell you how many times them senators and everybody came on television. Y'all ain't got to wear no mask. You just got to wear a mask in where we dispense benefits and privileges. And that's every corporation is under their umbrella because they're registered with the Secretary of State. So they're under their jurisdiction. So yes, you going into our businesses is a benefit and a privilege. Ain't a right to go out to eat at this restaurant. Ain't a right to go to this bank. Ain't a right to go to the post office. Ain't no right to go to the supermarket. Ain't no right to get on that commercial flight at the airport. So, right here it says, although a tax is often thought of as being pecuniary in nature, it is not necessarily payable in money. Well, if I can't pay it in money, what else can I pay it in? I was watching this show on, I don't know if it was on Netflix, HBO, one of them. I was watching it, and it was this show called The Magicians. And there was this scene in there where there's this dude, he can teleport himself. And I don't know, he borrowed some money. He borrowed some money from one of these little elves, one of these little magical creatures. And he couldn't pay dude back. And so he tried to pay him back, and dude says, and dude only wanted payment in gold. He only wanted payment in gold. Nothing else. He wasn't coming up off of that, and it had to be what he was asking for. And he said, how much gold? He said, 21 pieces of gold. 21 pieces of gold? Are you crazy? Then he said, oh, you must want to pay in labor. He said, oh, you don't want to pay in gold? You must want to pay in labor. Because if you can't pay a debt in money, well, what other way is there to pay it? You go into the restaurant and you don't have money to pay for the meal. What do they want you to do? Well, you can come back here and wash these dishes, but you're going to pay your debt to society. We're going to come and lock you up, and we're going to give you a job. This is what we're going to do. You're going to get up every day, be there, going to wait 8 to 3, and we're going to pay your criminal, lazy, good-for-nothing ass $15 a month. And you're going to do that shit for 15 years. Because since you're going to pay your debt to society, then we're going to make a bond and sell your ass on the markets just like they did in slavery. What did you think would happen at those auctions in slavery? You go into an auction house selling bonds. They just don't line you up anymore. You get sold with a piece of paper. It is constitutional. The 13th Amendment didn't outlaw slavery. Let's look at it real quick. Let's look at something else. Let's go to, look at the word slavery. Let's see. Is Yusuf crazy? Let's look at this. Slavery. A situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. We know the first sense of the word is going to give you the broad meaning of the term, but let's look at some of the narrower meanings and check out the expert commentary. The practice of keeping individuals in such a state of bondage or servitude. Slavery was outlawed by the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Interesting. And that's not part of the definition. This is the editor's putting in his 2 cents. However, it's peonage. What is peonage? We look at corpus juris secundii, we see peonage. What is peonage? Debt slavery. That's where the word peon comes from. So let's look at what the experts say. Slavery was a big problem for the Constitution makers. Those who profited by it insisted on protecting it. Those who loathed it dreaded even more the prospect that to insist on abolition would mean that the Constitution would die aborning. Aborning means at its inception, at the beginning. So the framers reached a compromise of sorts. The words slave and slavery would never be mentioned, but the Constitution would safeguard the peculiar institution from the abolitionists. What does this word peculiar institution mean? I know what it means, but I just got to show you, because we got a lot of people who don't know. They don't know. So when they see that word, they'll know. I'm going to impress it on their subconscious mind. Peculiar institution. What is peculiar institution? What is that? Peculiar institution, slavery in the antebellum South. That's a book right there. Peculiar institution, published in 1956. Let's look at it right here. Look at the definition. Peculiar institution. The peculiar institution is slavery. That's their little clean word they use for slavery. Peculiar institution. Who the fuck came up with that definition? Think about that. Who the fuck came up with that? So the Constitution protects slavery. It protects it. So that's why when we go to the 13th Amendment, is these people lying? We go to the 13th Amendment. It says, let me blow it up so you can see it. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, this peonage, they didn't say nothing about voluntary servitude. All you people got jobs. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So now we begin to understand what they said, that the Constitution protects the peculiar institution from the abolitionists. And how we gonna hide it is we ain't gonna never use the word slave no more. They don't call nobody a slave. They call you an inmate. They call you a convict. They call you a taxpayer, because when you're in debt to somebody, you're a slave. That's slavery, right? That comes out, Bible, right in the Bible. God, what is it? Proverbs, what is it? All right, 22:7, the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. So when you're in debt, you're a slave. But they're not going to call you that. They call you a debtor. They don't call you this. See, this is important for you to know, because when you go back and start studying, all the law is built on history, man. The words mean something totally different than what you think they mean. What's going on in the courtroom is something going on completely different than what you think. This is why they call it the occult world of commerce. Jordan Maxwell, if you haven't watched the occult world of commerce and you pretending like you studying this, go kill yourself. It's right here on this channel, The Occult World of Commerce with Jordan Maxwell. First thing I ever listened to before I started studying any of this. Back when it wasn't no YouTube, when people weren't even on the internet studying this stuff. There used to be way more information on the internet than it is now. Way more serious and hard-hitting information. They didn't scrape that too off the internet. They leaving y'all scraps. So we can see that the Constitution protects what? Slavery. All right, so we just read the 13th Amendment. So we're going to get that out of our mind, that slavery don't exist, because these people done told you straight in front of your damn face. And let's look at something else, because, the straw man is a 14th Amendment. a 14th Amendment citizen, right? All right, so let's look at the 14th Amendment real quick. Let's read it. I'm interested right down here in 4. The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payment of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion. This is really interesting right here. These are those court costs, because you're an insurgent, you're rebelling, you ain't following their laws, shall not be questioned. This is why they say you can't argue it. This is the purpose behind acceptance for value. Because when you go in there and argue and you traverse the charges, you give them jurisdiction. One of the most important things you have to do is don't argue. It tells you that also in Matthew 5, what is it? Matthew 5, agree with thy adversary while they're on the way to court. Let's look at it real quick. I think it's Matthew 5:25, is it? Yeah, Matthew 5:25. Agree with thine adversary quickly, whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. This is the principle behind acceptance for value. Yeah, and I accept for value in return. I'm the holder in due course here as the third party intervener making a special appearance as an authorized representative for the defendant. I accept for value in return for value all the charge and instruments in this matter and make my exemption as principal available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts contained in the charge and instrument. Please use my exemption for offset and adjustment of the public charges against the defendant and release the order of the court to me immediately. And even in our letter to our attorney, we tell him he is not authorized to foster an argument. Right there, let's look at that real quick. He's not authorized to foster an argument. Where is that? We go right here on SBC University creditors and their bonds, and we have what's called a letter of rogatory. That's a letter to another court. You are the court. Court is the paperwork. And we get down here, and this is a letter that people write to their attorney with instructions on what you want him to do. And it's a list. So what's the first thing you tell your attorney? Please note that I'm claiming an interest related to the property which is the subject of this action. This is rule, what is it, rule, I forgot, it's 24. It's rule 24 intervention. The language of this was taken from that, but they didn't quote the statute because this is private. It says, as there is no controversy in this matter, I do not want you to argue any facts or public issues as they apply to the defendant. You're not authorized to foster an argument or to join in an argument on behalf of the defendant. You're not authorized to defend the defendant. Well, right here in the Bible, it just told you don't argue. So now, well, wait a minute, Yusuf. What do you want me to do? Just plead guilty? Well, what kind of plea can you enter into the record? What kind of plea can you enter into the record if I'm not going to argue? If I'm not going to argue, well, how can you get a win-win situation? How can you let them win and you win too? All right, well, let's look at something. Let's look at something else. Let's go back over to SBC University. We're going back to our dictionaries. And we're just going to dig into blacks again. I'm just going to stay in blacks. And we're going to go over to, let's go to the 9th edition. And we're going to look at a plea, a common law plea. Let's look at this. This is interesting. Confession and avoidance. There it is right there. Confession and avoidance. A plea in which a defendant admits allegation but pleads additional facts that deprive the admitted facts of an adverse legal effect. Okay, I accept for value. I'm not arguing. You know why I'm accepting it for value? Because I know it's civil in nature. And what that means is you have some sort of pecuniary interest in this. You're attempting to lien up my property, but I already have a priority perfected lien against that property. However, I've also made an agreement with the government because I don't want to be an enemy of the state. I understand that y'all bankrupt. I understand that you need to create some money so you can pay your debts. I, as the creditor of you, have agreed I will take care of that for you. What's the problem? I don't want to argue with you. I accept for value in return for value all the charging instruments, and I'm making my exemption. Do you need me to draft you a promissory note? Oh, why don't you hand me the matrix of the indictment? Why don't you hand me the matrix of the indictment and let me endorse that for you? What do I mean when I say the matrix? What do I mean when I say the matrix? Why don't you hand me the matrix of the indictment? Oops. All right, so it was 4 times matrix. Matrix. Civil law, the original legal instrument from which all copies must be made. Mother. All right, so I'm asking you for the original indictment. I know it's a bill with charges on it. I know these all crimes are commercial. I know that you get jurisdiction by something affecting interstate commerce. I know the United States corporation, a constitution forms corporations. I know that you can't put me in some type of, like debtor's prison still exists, that people get put in jail for a debt. I know that in the United States of America, we have a debt-based system, monetary system, and that you look to create money through debt. I know that when I'm convicted of a crime, you put a lien against me. I know that there is a system that regulates liens, first in line, first in time. What do you mean what I'm doing sounds crazy? That's why I stay on it, because whoever created this, they knew all of this and they were extremely intelligent, and they don't want you to know. I didn't create none of this. I'm just the person deciphering it. I'm just deciphering all of this. And I'm giving y'all some tools to start looking at too. Man, I'm just scratching the surface of what I know right now. Y'all ride with me. I'm going to try to tell y'all everything. Just keep riding with me. But I needed to do this because I got to let y'all see that this is commercial. These are the things you got to do. You got to do all of this. So when you're in that courtroom, you ain't, oh man, I'm just going to do what Yusuf told me to do. No, nigga, you're supposed to be in there knowing, man, I know that these people, this is what it is. And then when they start trying to deny something, this is the thing you have to understand, is that, I don't know, for whatever reason, this has just been my experience, they ain't going to go against God. So they're not going to swear to God. They're not going to sign no affidavits or nothing. That's one of the things I see they will not do. They're not going against God or nothing like that. So they have learned to be very good at obfuscation. They like slippery snakes. They can weasel their way out of things. They're very good with words of art and things like that. That's all to circumvent so they won't have to lie or, do something, against God, because they understand that what goes around comes around, that you got to do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. They know that the laws of karma are in operation. So they have to make sure that whatever you do it to yourself. That's why that judge made that statement. He said, everybody in prison, he said they're voluntarily. The judge made that statement. I'll dig it up for you. He said, everybody in prison, they're voluntarily. They're not going to take no credit for nothing that happens to you. That's why their entire system is called a voluntary system. Social Security is voluntary. Their whole system is voluntary. Ain't nobody making you do nothing. You might have been inveigled into something, and to accepting the benefit and the privilege. But when you discover it, it's your job to be responsible enough. This is what they mean, correcting your status. I don't really like that term too much. I prefer rebutting presumptions about my status. Because they presuming something from you because you ain't never said nothing. Your actions have been speaking. You've been using that social security number. You opened up a bank account with that social security number. You put your children in school with that social security number. You registered your car with that social security number. You got your credit cards with that social security number. What you mean we don't have jurisdiction over you? Nigga, we ran your fingerprints before we brought you in here. We got your social security number. There's a lot of people in here today. I appreciate all of the donations. Appreciate that. I didn't get a chance to see who gave the donations. I apologize. Carla in Chingalo, I gotta give you a shout out because you a big baller in the house. You dropped 100 on me. I appreciate that. I mean, that touches my heart. That means I touched you, and I appreciate that. Gratitude. And also, Carla, you gave me another $20. I appreciate that. I want y'all to understand something. I didn't want, I did this tonight because I've been on this channel trying to lay a foundation of information. I've been trying to get people to understand things because I came to the conclusion a long time ago that one person is not going to be able to change this. They'll take a person like me and hide me. They don't give a fuck about me. I'm not, just because I know this information, that doesn't make me a Superman. I think some guys, they'll give you that impression. Oh, he's a guru. Why did he get locked up? Being a guru don't mean that you won't get locked up. Being a guru is not some immunity. They will lock my ass up and try to throw away the key and hide my ass too. They will do that shit. So I chose this method of teaching. So first of all, you do have to be an honorable person. If you want the protection of God, if God is with you, who can be against you? So you got to be in God's favor. And the way that you get in God's favor is you understand God's laws. You had to have some morals about yourself. I didn't give my mother this credit last time. I was speaking about my mother and how she sacrificed for me. But my grandparents, I got pictures of them right in front of me now. Both my grandparents, my grandmother, my grandfather, they contributed a lot to my education and making sure that I loved education. But also my mother, what my mother gave me is she instilled morals in me. My mother's a religious woman, and she instilled, a high degree of morality in me. A high degree of morality. And I see today a lot of these young kids ain't got no morality, and that's because they parents are immoral. My mother took a great deal of time to make sure I had Bible studies and things like that, and that I was educated about scripture and, not as well as I am now, but, she just made sure that was it did get in my heart. She put it in my heart. She put it in my heart. Now, I took it other places, but she put it in my heart. A love for God and a respect for God, a fear. See, a lot of people don't got no fear for God. Person that'll kill another person ain't got no fear of God. They don't think there's no judgment. I'm going to read this verse for you, and then I'm going to go on to get up out of here. But my mother, she put like good morals in me, I appreciate Morpheus. I appreciate the $10, Morpheus. I appreciate that. My mother, she put good morals in me. And I want to read something to you, though. Let me read this to you. This right here, I used to one thing when I was going through my little ordeal, one thing that I used to do a lot of, I used to read a lot of Psalms, because, the book of Psalms is a book of spells. That's all it is a book of spells. And Proverbs. And I spent a lot of time reading a lot of wisdom. I've always been a lover of wisdom. Always been a lover of wisdom. I read a lot of Zen books and, a lot of Sufi material and anything that had wisdom, man. Oh, I just love it, because it's so profound, things that are profound, that are truisms, that can be expressed in different cultures in different ways. Buddhism, Hinduism, even with their, here in America, the Proverbs, the Sirach. A lot of y'all don't know about the book of the Sirach. That book contains so much wisdom in it, especially about women. If you want to get some men wisdom about women, the Sirach is the book for you. It's gonna have a lot of that in there. But there was this book called The Wisdom of Solomon. It's called The Wisdom of Solomon. And the reason I love this book so much, because in there is a thing about people who don't believe in an afterlife. That's what you see around here today. You see a lot of, with all this immorality that's going on, they teaching people to be heathens. They're doing everything they can to go against anything, any type of Christian values or basic morality. You can identify as somebody, making everybody trying to normalize homosexuality, just doing all these things which go against religious principles. I don't care how you feel out there, but that's just the way it is. This woke movement is actually communism. That's all it is. It's just communism in disguise. They call it woke, but what it is communism. And I want to read this to you real quick, though. It's chapter 2 was the chapter. Chapter 2. Let me read this about the ungodly. I want y'all to listen real closely about the ungodly. He said, for the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. You got this mistaken reasoning. It's the ungodly, the heathen. Our life is short and tedious. And in the death of a man, there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. Ain't no cure for the dead to die. Everybody's going to die. Nobody's come back from the dead. For we are all born at all adventure, and we shall be hereinafter as though we had never been. We're going to be gone. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our hearts. We only here for a short time. We got to make the most of this life. Which being extinguished, our body shall turn into the ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. This is like the Jehovah's Witnesses believe that they call hell is Sheol, it's the grave. And when you die, there's nothing. There's just nothingness. That's why they have a resurrection. But your body's extinguished. Your spirit just goes, evaporates. You just go back into the nothingness as if you never existed. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance, and our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. In the book of Solomon, he said that it's just everything is just vanity. And I agree with him to a certain extent. You know, that's why people try to build these big buildings and everything. And it's just so they'll be remembered for a long time after they pass away. But what does it matter? What is 100? What if you remember 200 years after you pass away, or 500 years? 500 years, when you look at the whole body of time, it's nothing. It's still going to become a point where you're going to be forgotten. All things pass away. Which trips me out about young people. You know, they say you old. I'm like, every second you getting closer to death. What you talking about? I'm old. You bet if you lucky, you gonna get old. I was 22 one time too. I know what it is when you're young. When you're young, there's just no thought about aging because you're young. But it starts to hit you. This is the thing you got to understand, that when you hit 30, you start having epiphanies like, oh, shit. And then 40. And then 50. And you start thinking, oh, shit. I better get to work. I done wasted too much time. I don't know how much longer I got. So I'm going to live every day like it's my last. But I'm going to prepare for tomorrow. So right here, this is it right here, this rock. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, and that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments. Let's smoke. Let's damn sniff cocaine. Let's get drunk. And let no flower of the spring pass us by. Anything that we want, let's get sex, women, screw as many women as we can. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place. What is this? Tokens of our joyfulness. For this is our portion, and our lot is in this. When you go back and start studying religion, you're going to see it's heavily based off of sex. Man, I got documents right there on my PDF section that go into the history of religion. Let us oppress look at this. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Ain't got no respect for the elderly. Let our strength be the law of justice. Might makes right. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous. Okay, the righteous person. This is what you see going on right now. Let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not our turn. He's not like us. And he is clean contrary to our doings. He's too clean. He do everything the right way. He upbraideth us without offending the law. He keep on talking about us. Why we keep breaking all, reminding us. You know the laws of God. You don't need to be out there doing adultery, man. You don't need to kill no one. You don't need to be in your neighbor's house trying to steal something. Man, why you keep talking about that God stuff? And objective to our infamy and transgressions of our education. He professes to have the knowledge of God, and he calls himself the child of the Lord. Okay, you are of God, and you follow God's law. He was made to reprove our thoughts. I was sent here to cut up lies. He is grievous unto us, even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. He ain't walking like everybody else. We are esteemed of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filth. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed, and he maketh his boast that God is his father. It pissing them off. So what are they going to do? Let us see if his words be true. And let us prove what shall happen if in the end of him. For if the just man be the son of God, he will help him. God will help him and deliver him from the hand of the enemies. If God is with you, who can be against you? You don't have nothing to fear. But you got to put this to the test. See, your life gets serious when you get in a situation where you have to depend 100% on your God, where your faith gets tested. That's when you know when you're in something serious. Well, you ain't got nowhere else to turn to. And you say, you know what? God done cornered you and say, you know what? I'm finna see. This is it. I know I've been hearing you talking all that shit. The time is here. Faith without works is dead. It's time for you to show and prove. It's time for you to show and prove. Everybody's going to get put to the test. How you going to have a faith and it don't get tested? Let me tell you something. That's the best thing that can happen to you. That's why it says in John, it's count it all joy. In James, it's count it all joy when you encounter various trials for the testing of your faith. That's why it says that, because you've been selected. You've been chosen. See, a lot of people say, I've been called from God. That ain't what it say. That's not what it say in the Bible. It don't say called from God. What does it say? Is it Matthew 7? Thank you. What is it? Many are chosen, but few are called. Right here. You say, well, I've been called to God. With 22:14 say, many are called, but few are chosen. Don't be telling me you've been called before God. I used to listen to that all the time. I say, what does that mean? The chosen. You get called when you get put to the test. You get chosen when you pass it. So the reason I'm talking about all this right now is because there's going to be a situation where, I mean, people like to walk around and talk about, all this information, but there's another part to the information. That's why I always talk about this. It's not just filing a UCC-1 and going to court. It's about your character as a person. You have to be, if you want them to honor things, you got to be an honorable person. That's what, because this is an equity. To get equity, you must do equity. And equity is fairness, impartiality, and even-handed dealing. You have to have clean hands and have good faith. So I'm just saying, there's character associated with all of this. It don't have to be the Christian Bible. It don't have to be, because all of these religions attempt to establish some sort of baseline morality in you. Don't kill your fellow man. Don't steal. Respect his property. It tells you in the Bible, when you sleep with another man's wife, there's nothing you can offer him that will quail. And they be say, oh, man, I can't believe you gonna get into a fight over a bitch. Nigga, you touch somebody's woman, they gonna kill you, man. You've been already warned. That's like a woman saying that a man is not supposed to put his hands on a woman. He's not, but there's niggas out there that will. All right, there's niggas out there that will. So don't go around acting like nobody's gonna put their hands on you, because somebody will. So be respectful. Just like if you touch somebody's wife, there's a possibility you can lose your life. Some people don't play about their wives, man. I find it real funny, dudes be on the internet telling me, they be saying this. I don't trust women because I can't tell y'all the number of wives I've slept with. You're sitting here putting it out into the universe that you just, I mean, God be in heaven with you and just, okay, let me play back YouTube. I heard on this channel. What were you talking about right here? What is this? What do you mean you was, how do you mean you was sleeping with a whole bunch of people's wives? Did you read this shit I just told you to read right there and don't do this shit? You know, this is what's going on in the world today. And I'm not here to say Christianity is right or there's some white man in the cloud going to judge you, because actually judgment is going to come. You have an ingrained sense of right and wrong. You know when you're doing wrong. You know when you're doing wrong. You know when you pass and you're doing something, you know, and don't think you're going to get away. A lot of people don't understand why they have relationships that are going to go good. Well, why don't you look in your past and see all the people you mistreated? Why you can't get that man you want? Go look at how you treated the man that wanted you. That's why you can't get that man you want. That's why you can't get that woman you want. Because look how you treated somebody who wanted you. What goes around comes around. You battling with the law of karma. That's what these people, they understand it. You don't. They don't want to tangle with karma at all. That's why they make everything voluntary. Because they honor the first principle of the universe is free will. If there was no free will, there would be no judgment. That's the first principle. Free will. All right. I want to thank everybody today. Oh man, thank you, Befield Trades. He gave me $200. I appreciate that. Big baller. Been listening for years. The information you've shared has changed my life. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. That fills my heart with so much joy. When people tell me that, when they say, you know, because I got a lot of people, show me the proof. And I'm like, do you be watching in the comment section the people be talking about maybe I should do some sort of, you know, what I usually don't do, I don't bring people on and say, did you follow my procedure and it worked for, I don't do that. I ain't never did that. I don't care about that. I'm just speaking the truth. I don't care about that. I don't need to bring people on stage, you know, and say what I did for them. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't feel a need to. If I'm doing the purpose I've been doing, you can't stop me. If I'm following my purpose, it's something I think this is my purpose. This is what I was born to do. So I'm doing it. So it's going to be, I'm not doing this. I think some people think I just do this to make money. I feel like I'm supposed to be compensated for my time, because time, every second we're getting closer to death. So there needs to be some sort of exchange for energy. So yeah. And then plus when you give, he's going to get back $1,000. He's going to get back $1,000. No, he's going to get back $2,000. Just say, every time you give, just say, I give this back and it's going to come back to me 10 times that amount. In a never-ending stream of blessing. And watch. Every time, that's why everybody gives. All wealthy people give, because it comes back. They just get richer and richer and richer by giving. They give. Every time I see a homeless person, I give something, because you putting money in that bank account. Because of karma, what goes around comes around. You have to give in order to receive. These are universal principles. These not really, like y'all listen to that shit. Y'all think it's something religious. They were saying all of this stuff before the Bible. This is in the Kabbalion. This is an Egyptian text. This is ancient. These are universal laws. There is a science to wealth. Like there's a science to anything. It said what? The Science of Getting Rich. Wallace Wattles, Christian scientist, wrote it. You should read that. I did a video on the Science of Getting Rich on this channel. Me and a young lady. Take the time and listen to it. The Science of Getting Rich is on this channel. I did a whole audio book. Thank you, Befield Trades. I appreciate that, man. I thank you so much. But look, y'all, I'm going to get off now. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'll be back on tomorrow, same time. We're going to delve back into cracking the code. Today, we just was able to, go into some things. Is this corporate or not? You decide. Go and check for yourself. Go do your investigation. You're going to start to see some things. Your eyes are going to become open. like they did in the garden. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you join my email list. It is in the description of this video. And peace to the gods. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace. I'm out.